What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your girl, Courage, Pastor, oh, child, Pastor Courage Molina, coming to you with Freedom Friday. What's good? What's good? It's Freedom Friday. Yeah, let's get free. Let's get free. Let's get free. Let's get free. Ew. Um, so I'm the pastor of Dose of Courage Community Church. We are an online global church for women. We meet every Saturday morning right here on YouTube. We do live streaming and then we come together as a community and have conversation via Zoom. We let me just see. I need to get over here so I can see if y'all say what's up, if y'all say good morning. I got my comments over here. So say what's up when you come in. Say good morning. Hey. At Dose of Courage Community Church, um, it's really about equipping and training you in the Word of God so that you become bolder, more confident, and courageous enough to have everything God said you could, so that you can, really go out here and pursue your purpose. I'm also the founder and president of Courage Molina University. And with Courage Molina University, we're an online personal growth and development program. Development school. It's not a program, it's a school. So there's that. Okay, and so today is Freedom Friday. And on Fridays, I typically share something from my life, from my week. What's up, Janae Pollard? Minister Janae Pollard, what's up? I typically share a lesson or something I got free from as a result of like just my week or whatever, like the week I had. And so, oh, that's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one because I was really sitting there like, okay, maybe I didn't get free from nothing this week. Like, what is really happening? It's really because I haven't been journaling. Really need to journal. When I journal, I remember more of the things that I've done. And I haven't really journaled. I mean, I've written things, but I haven't journaled. Anyway, listen. I want you to know this week, this day, on today, that you can get free from these mediocre goals, these small goals. You can actually set your goals as big as you like. You could actually have God sized goals. You could actually set your sights on things that other people might think are absolutely insane. You can do it, even in the face of other people looking at you. So here's the thing: when you set your goal, right, when you and the Lord are together and y'all are hanging out and it's time for you to set your goals, I find that it's almost impossible to set small goals when I'm setting them with him because he is team gas you up. He be like, "Oh, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it." He really, really like it's all about gassing you up for you to have an even bigger goal, for you to have an even, like something that's really gonna blow your own mind. He's going to get more glory from it. So, like, this idea, and I probably have taught this, like, this idea, no, I probably did. I probably did because I was just thinking, have I ever really been like that? I don't think I really have. Like, oh, let's set reasonable goals. I don't want the goal to be reasonable because I don't want reasonable results. I want extraordinary results. I want to see the miraculous happen as it relates to my goals. And I just feel like you don't see that. We don't set it to that. So you can set God-sized goals, even if people are going to look at you crazy. And this is what I have experienced here recently. I just set the goal maybe like a week, maybe this past week, maybe it's been a week and a half, where I'm going to pitch. I initially said I would pitch 3,000 podcasts. That's what I said. I'm going to pitch 3,000 podcasts, but the truth is, it's not so much about the pitches, it's really about the interviews because I want to secure 300 interviews for the next 6 months, right? So I want to do 300 interviews on podcasts for the next 6 months. That's what I want to do. And so I started like the research, gathering the information so I could find the podcast that I would pitch. I'm looking for this information. I'm going to pitch this podcast or whatever. And it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work that I don't enjoy doing. Searching, I sat probably for a day and a half and I compiled um 400, a little under 400. Some of them might have been duplicates. I compiled a list of 400 possible potential podcasts, right? That I would then need to go back and pitch. And I was just like, this is too much. And I thought about the book that I told you guys I read, Who Not How. And so I started to think, who could help me with this? Who could I find that could help me with this? And here's the thing, I don't want somebody helping me if I'm honest, right? Like, I don't want somebody being like, oh, I could take 1,000 and you could take 1,000. That's not what I want because I don't want to do it at all. I don't want to search. I don't want to hit pitch emails like at all if I don't have to. So that's not really what I'm looking for. So I was like, you know what? I said that to the Lord. You know, me and the Lord are talking about it. I talked to Laverta. Today's Laverta's birthday. Drop happy birthday in the chat for Laverta. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Go red. Go red. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your Shorty, it's your birthday. Okay, that's it. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, Laverta. So I was talking to Laverta actually, and she was we were just talking about whatever, and she told me about this software or this company that she heard about, you know, where you can do all this research for podcasts. And so I went on there and I found that, and I was like, okay, yep, this is what I'm gonna use. And then on that website, there was another company who also does the same thing. They also do pitching, right? They also do pitching. So I set up an appointment with her, with the lady. We met and and she was like, this is what we do. We will do, you know, the emails, the follow-ups, all of that. We'll do all of those things, is what she's saying. I'm like, okay, cool. And she's telling me how much it's gonna cost. I'm like, okay, cool. And then she says, I tell her what my goal is. I say, I'd like to be interviewed on 300 podcasts in the next 6 months. 300. I'd like to be interviewed on 300 podcasts in the next 6 months. That's what I say. She kind of keeps, you know, she keeps her composure. And she's like, She was like, well, you know, this is what we charge, and we're looking for a 6-month commitment. And at the end of that commitment, you know, and we really do a great job, and we do XYZ and we do ABC. At the end of that 6 months, you know, we basically, you know, we would have done 50 in 6 months. Okay, do y'all know how different 300 is from 50? Right? She didn't say that my goal of 300 interviews was insane or was unrealistic, but it was so ridiculous to her that she did not even respond. She did not even really acknowledge the difference between what they could do and what my goal was. She didn't say, oh, well, 300, you know, the best that we could really do is 50 in 6 months. So we're probably not a good fit. Or, oh, you want 300? Well, you know, how do you propose to get there? Or we can only get you to 50. She didn't do that. I felt like she thought it was so ridiculous and that I was so out of touch that I didn't even realize how ridiculous 300 episodes, 300 interviews were. That she was just like, okay, clearly she don't know what she's talking about. So let her know that we are really good at what we do and we're the best at what we do. And even with us being the best at what we do, the best we can get you is 50. I was like, oh. I said, how many? She was like, 50. And I said, well, that's definitely not 300. And she was like, no, it's not. But, you know, you have to understand that a lot of research goes into it and XYZ. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you so much. She was like, well, do you know when you'll be making a decision? I was like, oh, I'll be making a decision here soon. You know, so thank you for your time. And so this might have been a good time to tell her I wasn't going to go with her, but I couldn't say those words in a way that would reflect no emotion about it, right? Because I felt away. Um, and I was like, you know what, let me just get off this call with this lady and then I'm gonna feel my way and I can just send her an email later, right? So I was like, okay, cool. So it's not gonna be them because I am going to be interviewed by 300 people. I'm going to be on 300 podcasts come December 31st, 2022. Okay? That's the goal. That's what it is. That's what we do and that's the plan. So I'm like, well, if you really want to do it, then you need to reach out. So I reached out to Chauncey and I was like, hey, I got a special project. I want to be interviewed. I want to be on 300 podcasts by December, by the end of the year. Do you know of somebody? Could you recommend an agency that could help me with this project? I posted it in this community that I'm in Trusted Women. That's what I wanted. I've set the goal to pitch 3,000 podcasts so that I can be interviewed, so that I can secure 300 interviews. I'm willing to do 3,000 pitches, right? So that I can secure 300 interviews. And so I posted that and somebody was like, oh, here's a person. And so I looked that person up. I went to their website. I scheduled a meeting. So we got on the meeting, got on the consultation and she's like, oh, just tell me, it's so crazy that somebody recommended you, whatever. She was like, tell me what it is you're trying to do. So I told her the same thing. I was like, well, I initially said I wanted 3,000 pitches. I'm like, but that's not really true. I need to pitch as many as it takes so that I can secure 300 interviews. And that might be 3,000. It might be 2,000. It might be 5,000. I actually do not care. But the end goal is 300 interviews. She was like, okay. And so she asked me who would be handling the scheduling. She asked me what was my schedule like. That's what she said. She was like, oh, 300 interviews in 6 months. Tell me about your schedule. What's your schedule like? And I was like, well, actually, I have opened up Mondays and Fridays. I typically only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I don't have time if I only work on those days to get 300 interviews in. So I'm willing to open up my schedule on Mondays and Fridays so that I can get these 300 interviews in. I'm like, when the interviews are over, then I will probably go back to my regularly scheduled program. I said, and I'm also available in the evening. I'm like, I don't want to really interview in the evening. I'm like, but the goal was really 300. So if it's the evening, she was like, yeah, I would encourage you to be open for the evening. She was like, because you might be on a podcast, in Australia, and they may want to interview you at 9:00 in the morning, and it's really 9:00 at night over here, kind of thing, right? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. What I loved about her right from the start was that she did not say, she didn't say it was impossible. Two, she immediately started thinking, okay, if she's going to do 300 interviews, then what could keep that from happening? If she's going to do 300 interviews, what would keep me from being able to help her get the 300 interviews that she has? She immediately went into strategy and problem solving, solution based things, right? And so we talked a little bit more. Yes, she was very strategic. We talked a little bit more. And so I decided right then, I was like, yeah, let's do it. She did not have a contract for 6 months. It was like a month to month. It's a month to month. I pay for the month for the services or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and just try it for the month. Let's see how it goes. And I said, now these 300, she said, now you got a person that's handling your podcast. Who was going to put them on your schedule? I was like, That's what I want to know. Who's going to put them on my schedule? She was like, well, I can do that, but you have to give me access to your calendar. I was like, okay, you can have access. I don't care about that. You can have access to my calendar, child, please. She was like, okay. She was like, and just so you know, this is how I set the reminders. Reminder, boom, 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 boom. And this is why I set the reminders this way. She was like, oh, this is going to be so exciting. I want to give you, listen. So I hired her. She sent me the invoice and the contract. I paid the invoice same day. Let's go. Let's not wait, right? This is what I want you to understand, right? Because I have on my goals list over there, I still have goals over there that are really God-sized goals. I think for me and my platform and the number of people that follow me and my number of views, I think wanting to get on 300, podcasts that are in alignment with my messaging, I think that's a God-sized goal for me. Now, it may not be a God-sized goal for a person who is Beyonce, who just dropped a new single, right? It may not be a God size, but for me, Courage Molina, where we are with Dose of Courage Community Church, and that's really what I want to be able to do is get on these podcasts so I can talk about faith and how important it is and invite women to join the church, right? So 300 interviews, that's a lot of interviews. That's a God-sized goal in 6 months with all the other work that I still do. So initially, when I set that goal, it seemed one, overwhelming, and two, even when I talk to people who are in the industry, people who do this for a living, their job, her whole business, their actual whole entire business model, they are not executive assistants, they're not VAs, right? Her whole entire thing is pitching. That's their whole company. So I talked to somebody who is an expert in the field of pitching, and I am not. And her response implied that my goal of 300, interviews was unrealistic and wasn't possible. Well, guess what? That's exactly where I want my goals to be. And I want to encourage you that I want to remind you that you have the freedom to set goals that are unrealistic and impossible. And the reason I say that is because I'm not looking for realistic outcomes. I have not partnered with God so I can get what only humans can get me. That's not why I'm partnering with God. I have put my natural with his supernatural, and my expectation, because he is with me, is that things are going to be above and beyond all I can think or imagine. I want to hear somebody tell me it's impossible for me to do something. Oh, okay, that's cool. But I believe that with God, all things are possible. I'm not just the person who says that. I believe it is a possibility. And so while 300 seems like a lot, it seems like more than I can do. But I am trying to tell you right now that when you set your standards to a certain level and you set your goals to a certain level, it's not about adjusting them to the people that you find who can support you. It's about not accepting support from people who are not ready to go there with you. People who are not ready to believe God for the absolute most, people who are not ready to believe God for absolute healing, people who are not ready to believe God for absolute reconciliation, people who are not ready to believe God for the most insane, impossible, and unrealistic outcome. It doesn't mean that you need to adjust your goals so that you can be more realistic. It means that you need to adjust your team. You need to keep looking. Oh, no, you're not the one for me. I know you're not the one for me. Why? Because I said that my goal is to be interviewed on 300 podcasts, and you don't think that's possible. How can you help me? I don't care what your credentials are. It's you ain't the one for me. You don't believe it's possible. It doesn't. Let me just tell you right now, it's not even about whether or not it will happen. How can two walk together? Come on, Jesus, unless they be in agreement. We cannot work together if we are not in agreement about what I'm about to do. How you on my team? I remember when I first started way back in the day, we started a publishing company, which we still have. We started a publishing company probably like back in 2007 or something like that, and we do self-publishing. And so I got a mentor. I got a business mentor through a small business program here called SCORE. They're everywhere, but I did the one here in Charlotte. And so I met with my mentor, and he was like, on the first day when he looked over my stuff, he was like, I'm your mentor. My job as your mentor, I'm not your mentor because I believe that you can accomplish this. I'm your mentor to help give you some business advice. I was like, oh, then you're not my mentor. That's it. And I didn't know nothing from nothing then. At least I know a little bit more now. I ain't know nothing from nothing then. But what I knew right then is absolutely not. No, then you're not on my team. What you talk about? We either all going to the moon, we all believe we going to the moon, or you not on the team. And that's just on the Lord right there. Because the Lord said, how can two of us walk together if we not be in agreement? How I got you on my team in here and you don't believe that I can do what I'm setting out to do. Plus, especially right now, right? It's 2022 right now. Social media wasn't a thing back then. I don't really know, but I'm gonna tell you, right now, 2022, we've seen all kinds of crazy things happen. We've seen people drop an album and it hit XYZ. We've seen all of that stuff. And even with all of that, we see that you can slide into somebody's DMs. You don't even have to go through the normal channels all the time. I know there are some people who are like, oh, don't pitch in the DM. Don't tell me not to pitch in a DM, especially if I've been following and engaging. Now, there's a way to do it. There's certainly an art to sliding in somebody's DMs and pitching. But I've been listening to your podcast. I have been, sharing your podcast. I've been liking your stuff. I've been engaging. You know my name. You just see my name because I'm one of the ones that's on here all the time. I'm going to slide into your DM. Now, I'm not sliding into the DM with somebody I don't know. I don't really know them like that. I haven't actually listened to their podcast. I'm not going to be doing that. I think that is annoying. But sliding in your DM, absolutely. And I'm gonna slide in your DM if you don't have any other ways for me to contact you about getting on your podcast. I'm also gonna slide in, even if I don't know you. You understand what I'm saying? But how we gonna be on the same team? But you think that my goal is ridiculous. I think my goal is ridiculous too. But I need you to believe that the ridiculous is absolutely possible. You don't believe that's oh, you can't be on the team. That's it. I want you to understand that you have the freedom to set God-sized goals, and you need to get coaches, marketing team, executive assistants, whatever. You need to have God-sized goals, and you need to find communities and coaches that are for that. Do you see what I'm saying? You cannot be a woman of purpose and a woman of faith, a woman who believes God, and then you want to be coached by somebody who don't believe that the impossible is possible. I'm gonna tell you right now, when they're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You got to trust God, but you got to be realistic. That right there, red flag. I saw all these memes a while back. They're talking about red flags in relationship. That's a red flag in a coaching relationship, in a mentor relationship, where it is. And I'm not talking about yes men. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about yes men. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, this is what you set your goal at. We believe it is possible. We believe that with God, anything is possible. So if that's your goal, let us set up a strategy for you to reach that goal. Now, I can say, no, that's not a good strategy. No, that's not a good idea, right? About how you're going to go about your goal. I'm not talking about a community where people are saying, yes, 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 yes. You can do 70 things. You can do 60 things. No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a community, right? Where when you set a God-sized goal and they say, and you're talking about, I'm believing God for this. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. Right. And we're talking about faith in action. I ain't talking, because I want to be clear here, right? I just want to, this is a fine rope I'm walking. It's a fine line. It's a thin line between love and hate. Y'all know that song? It's a thin line between love and hate. It's a thin line I'm walking here. And so I want to be clear. If I have a goal that somebody thinks is impossible, they cannot be on my team. Okay? I'm not going to have them helping me to build that, right? They can't be a part of that project. Let's just say, for example, right? Olivia does all the design work and stuff. So if I told Olivia I wanted to be on 300 interviews and she said she thought it was crazy, she didn't think I could do it, it doesn't mean that I'm going to take her off my team. Do you know why? Because what she does ain't got nothing to do with this. She's doing the design work, right? And Olivia didn't say that. I'm just using that as an example so that you understand what I'm saying. But if I am hiring you or I'm looking for somebody to support me in completing a project, and the project that you are working on with me is the project that you think is impossible, right out the gate, it's a no for me. Okay? Right out the gate, it's a no for me. Why? How can we work together on a project that you don't believe is possible? Absolutely not. You out. Okay? So if I have a goal, I've set this goal, and I'm not talking about some random goal you just pulled out the air. I set this goal with the Lord. Me and God got together. We set this goal, and I know that I need support, and I go out here to get support. You cannot be on my support team if you don't believe it's possible with God. It's a no for me. It's a no. Because I'm already going to have my own. I already know it's crazy. You think I don't know it's crazy? I already know it's crazy. I know it's insane. It's so insane that I laugh every time I look at it. I'll be like, bro. I'm like, first of all, how am I even going to keep up with how many? I need to get a log or something. I need to be having like a number that I've done. I've already done like 2, I think. I think I did 2. Yeah, I did. I did Denise Taylor's podcast, and I did the Purpose Collective. So I've been interviewed twice since I set it out loud that I wanted to set this as a goal. So I really only have 298 podcasts left. I have 2 people who just reached out who's like, I'd like for you to be on my podcast. So now I'm down to 296, right? And I don't really have 300 now. I only need to do 296 interviews. And so it's like, I think it's crazy too. I don't think it's not crazy. I think it's crazy too. I'm a human. I'm going to have my moments of doubt. I don't need people on my team who are already doubting it from the start. And I sure as heck am not going to be adjusting my goals to match somebody else's energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not about to do that. Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. I'm not about to be like, oh, let me adjust my goals. Absolutely not. I want you to know that you have the freedom to have the most ridiculous, insane, and impossible goals as a woman of purpose who is a believer in Christ. You have the freedom to set your goals even bigger, even more insane, even more. I want to live a life that is outrageous. You know what I'm saying? I want to have an outrageous lifestyle. That means I have outrageous goals, and I'm believing God for the most outrageous outcomes. I don't want regular, and I don't want realistic. You understand what I'm saying? I actually don't want realistic outcomes. I don't want that. That's not what I'm praying. I'm not praying for realistic. I'm like, oh Lord, let all the realistic. No, I want miracles. I want signs and wonders. I want exceedingly and abundantly above all I can ask, think, or imagine. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what I want. I want insane. I want people to be like, oh my gosh, right? I want to know that it was nobody but God, that I didn't do this with hard work, that I couldn't have gotten here. Like, okay, there are some things I got with hard work, but this right here, the Lord touched this thing, because there's no way I would have gotten this outcome without him. If it doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. We are in the season of ridiculous faith, God's miraculous. Yes. I mean, your goals can be whatever you want. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that your goals need to match theirs. Somebody on here, you think that 300 interviews is easy. You know somebody who did 1,000 interviews in 2 months. Cool. For me though, 300 interviews is insane. That's crazy to me that I would have 300 interviews. I don't know that I've been interviewed 300 times since I started. If I'm honest, I've been on a lot of podcasts, so I ain't lying to you. You can Google, and I've been on a lot of podcasts, and I've been interviewed. I even had like a little interview stint on TV one time. So I've had a lot of interviews, but really since I started, I don't think that I've hit 300 in total. So it is absolutely insane that my goal for the next 6 months would be 300 interviews. But I have the freedom to set my goals at whatever I want because I realize that God is in me, He is with me, and He has already gone before me. I realize that it really excites Him for us to believe Him with the insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want him to be excited. I want him to be like, get now this right here. This what I'm talking about. Y'all want to bring me that little stuff. You know, I can do the little stuff too. But this right here, this my girl. Like, I don't think that anything is a challenge, but I think that God wants us to bring goals that He recognizes is a challenge for us. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that God wants us to come to Him with things that are so insane to us that He can't wait to do it. Like, bring me your biggest, your baddest, your most whatever. Boom, let me show you what I'm working with. And it's like, I used to do a lot of, photo shoots, and I did like speaking, and I was on a panel. And so I was traveling with this body confidence movement. I was a part of that. And so I was one of the speakers for that. And so she was traveling everywhere, and I was traveling everywhere with her. And my friend Olivia is also a makeup artist. Now she has retired her brushes, so she does not do makeup for people anymore, but there was a time where she did that type of work. And so anytime I needed my makeup done for an event, it was her. But when I started traveling, at the time she was still working, she hadn't quit her job yet. And so there was another makeup artist who, was traveling with us, who knew, Olivia or whatever. And so she got ready to do my makeup for an event. She was like, what kind of look do you want? I was like, oh, I just want something natural, something just like a natural look. And she was like, no. I was like, why? I was like, I just want like a natural look or whatever. She was like, so Olivia's your makeup artist? I'm like, yeah. She was like, well, I be seeing Olivia. She be doing all kinds of stuff to you. And now it's my turn to do your face. And you want me to do something basic? She was like, absolutely not. I don't think so. So pick something else. And so I laughed. I thought it was very funny. I laughed and I picked something else. But I feel like God is like that with us. Like, so you want basic? Man, it's okay, fine. Just do this. I feel like the Lord is excited when we take something to Him that is too big for us to carry. He'd be like, oh, look at my baby girl bringing me something big, something that she can't handle. She trusts me enough to ask me to do this thing on her behalf. And so I think that excites the Lord. It certainly excites me. So I want to give you the freedom to make your goals even bigger. Listen, that's why I said I'm going to have 3 Bibles. When I said, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to have my own Bible. That's what I thought. I thought, oh, it'd be so cool to have my own Bible. But I was kind of low-key talking to the Lord too. And then I was like, well, actually, I can see me having 3 because I can have one for this, one for this, and one for that. And I was like, no, but you can't have 3 Bibles. And he was like, you can't? I was like, can I? He was like, are you asking? I was like, okay, well, let's go. I want 3 Bibles. Let's go. Right? Like, I think the Lord gets excited, and I want to be excited with Him. I want to get excited about the things that I'm setting out. I don't want to. Who's excited about hitting a mediocre target? I'm not. I want to encourage you. I want you to understand that you have the freedom to set your goals to God-sized goals, to things that actually scare you. And I don't mean your hopes and your dreams. Now, listen, I do press, but I find it hard to stick to the plan. That's why I didn't respond to Amber. I don't know what that means. Here's the thing, right? You do, like, when you set God, that's I don't know who this is, Facebook user. I don't know who you are. Can you tell me who your name is? So I'm not calling you Facebook user. Give StreamYard permission to show me your name. It's right at the top. It says give StreamYard permission so I can see. Here's the thing. Because I want to be able to give you some advice, but I want to know who you are. Andrea Johnson. Okay, hey, Andrea Johnson. Here's the thing. When we set God-sized goals, and they are insane, I could tell you that you need one thing, right? well, you need this one thing. Well, that's not true. It takes a symphony of things in order for this to work. But when you have God-sized goals, that requires a different lifestyle, right? I know it's just one goal. It might just be one project. And so you're like, oh, I just want to do this one thing. It's a big thing, but I just want to do this one thing. Where the people who are seeing God sized goals manifest and happen and come to fruition in their lives, in my opinion, they have embraced courage as a lifestyle because that is what's required. The reason you don't stick to the plan is because it's overwhelming. It's because it's insane. 300, that's ridiculous. it's absolutely ridiculous, right? Like 300, it's crazy. That's why we don't stick to it because it's overwhelming. Because I mean, right out the gate, I was almost overwhelmed before I even talked to the lady because I had already sat down to look at. It took me, no, not somebody else. It took me like 4 or 5 hours to get 400 podcasts that I could possibly pitch to sift through. Right, it took me like a whole day's worth of work to get 400. I was drained. I was not encouraged. I did not feel good. I felt like I actually was down. I felt like trash. I felt like I ain't gonna be on nobody's podcast. It was not good. All the work, all that research that day had me going down the drain. But I live a courageous lifestyle. And I don't mean that like as a pun or as like a branding thing. I mean that like in all actuality, that I've adopted, the habits and the principles of courageous living because it's required. There's no way, I don't know how. I don't know how you could stay the course with God-sized things if you don't embrace courage as a lifestyle. Because there are going to be so many spots along the way to this God-sized goal where I come face to face with my own limitations, where I feel depleted, where I am actually rejected. There are going to be people who are going to be like, no, I'm not interested in having her on my podcast. No, especially when people are judging you by the numbers. That doesn't feel good. Like, oh, she don't have enough followers or she don't have enough whatever. It's as if to imply my message is not important because I don't have enough people following me. Like that does not feel good. How do you continue to show up in the face of that if you don't have a lifestyle where you have like, if you don't have a courageous lifestyle? And for me, courageous living looks like, a daily morning routine that supports that. And I mean like specifically my morning routine. I mean specifically the bolder morning routine that resets me every single time I do it. And I try and do it every day. It resets me every day. And when I go days without doing it, I feel it. I'm like, see, this is so dumb. Why did I not do my bolder morning? But I don't quit the plan. I also have a very strategic, Laverta, thanks for the word, is always saying I'm very strategic. I also have a very strategic way that I set my goals. So here's a perfect example, right? 300 interviews. That's the goal in 6 months. So my goal is that I would be interviewed 300 times. So then I take that and I actually break that down into steps. What exactly do I need to do? I need to have how many pitches do I need to go out per week if I'm going to get a percentage of that? Can I do those pitches on my own? Who do I need to get to help me do those pitches? And so now I have a lady who's going to help me do the pitches, but I want to be clear here. Even though I got somebody that's going to do the pitches, I'm not just handing that off to her. This goal is too important to me. So in every community that I'm in, I'm going to make it be known that I'm interested in being interviewed on 300 podcasts, no podcast too big or small that I won't go on as long as it's in alignment with my messaging and they, serve the clients that I want to serve. Then for me, the answer is going to be yes. I'm going to say no to any interviews that are not going to allow me to talk about faith and action or building confidence and courage. If it's a non-faith thing, that it doesn't make any sense because I really want to, one, grow the church, two, I really want to help women to learn how to study their Bible. And so if you're not a woman of faith, or if you're not interested in faith, then I don't need to be on the podcast, right? So it's just very, very strategic. And then I take those steps and I put those steps on my calendar every single week, whatever my week is for that, check to make sure she's done it. Pitch myself in the communities that I'm in, listen to podcasts. Like, there are still things, even though I have her on my team and she's going to definitely be doing the heavy lifting, I am not leaving it to her. It's too important. The message I have is too important for me to just be like, oh, well, I gave it to her, because what happens if she doesn't work out? I also have another appointment with another VA. And I'm not necessarily going to hire her too, but I want to get to know her. I want to hear about her, because if it doesn't work out with this one, I'm not going to waste any time moving over to the next one, because the 300 interviews are too important for me to leave just to one person or something like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work like it's my responsibility, because it's my responsibility. And so when I have these other steps, those steps go on my planner from week to week. And then I track my execution rate for my goals. And this is the greatest predictor. The greatest predictor, okay? The greatest predictor for outcome is execution. And so while I don't have to worry, Andrea, you do not have to worry. The Lord is 100% going to do his part. It has been my experience that when it doesn't happen, it's not because God didn't do his part. It's because I honestly did not consistently show up and do my part. But it's hard for us to remember that, right? Because we have this spiritual amnesia all the time. And so what I teach in my community, Courageous Faith, where y'all at, what I teach in Courageous Faith is the goal setting, the assessing the goals, and the reporting on the execution of those goals publicly every single week. Every week, Tuesday morning, I want to know, what's your execution rate? The execution rate needs to be what? At least 85%. Right? I got a few CFM members on here. It needs to be at least 85%. And I can tell you that the women who are enrolled in CFM, they are accomplishing goals that they have been putting off. They are getting things done that they didn't know how they were going to get done. And some of them are able to see, like, okay, it's not about my execution. It's really about my confidence. Okay, it's not about my execution. It's really about my lack of clarity. But you cannot recognize those patterns, because there might be a pattern, right? You can't recognize those patterns if you're not keeping data on your execution, right? So my execution rate is based on the things that I've executed towards my goal, not all the other business things that I needed to do. What is my execution rate on the things that were related to my goal? I don't have my thing over here with me because I didn't know it was going to go this way. It's way over there. Once you set the God-sized goal, so we kind of do it like 12 weeks. That's what we do in my community. We do like 12 weeks or whatever. And it's like having a 12-week year, right? This is what I'm focused on for the next 12 weeks, right? We kind of break it down. And when we break it down, we write down, and they're only allowed to pick, like, do I let y'all pick 3 goals? I think I let them pick 1 to 3 goals. And they can't all be work if they're going to pick 3. They cannot all be related to work. So one's got to not be work. And so when they write their goals out, it's not just like, that's not it. After we are done with our goals, we are actually planning out the next 12 weeks. So for every goal that I set, what are all the steps, all the things that I need to do in order to reach that goal? I need to do this task, all these things, ding, 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 right? And then they take all those tasks, and they divide them up by the week that it will happen. Okay, well, I need to do this weeks 1 and 2. I need to do this weeks 5 and 6. And they organize them, and then they put those tasks on their planner for those weeks. And let's say I got 10 tasks that I need to complete in order for me to, I got these 10 tasks that are related to my goal, and I only did 8. If I only did 8 then my execution rate is 80%. Right? If I only did 2, then my execution rate is 20%. And with 3 weeks of 20% execution, you can see it's not the goal that's the problem, but your lack or your inability to execute that's the problem. And that might be a pattern. It might be because I don't believe it can happen. I might be afraid of, success or whatever. So that kind of thing, right? And so that's really how we do it. And I can tell you right now that, women have come into Courageous Faith membership after coming through other coaching programs and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, I know that I need to do this. I need to pitch this thing. And in 30 days, I had a lady in 30 days who was like, oh, I've been trying to get this thing done, whatever. And within 30 days, the first 30 days of her actually showing up, she launched a program that she hadn't even made available. Like, it was like, oh, I know what it is. I kind of got it outlined, but I haven't created it. Within 30 days, she had it created, and I could see on her social media, because I'm checking. I want to see what y'all is doing out there in them streets. I could see on her social media what she was doing. I have another one, Dr. J. She was like, she said out loud, I want to be a woman of massive impact. And when she started saying she wanted to be, the minute that she got that, right? I'm a woman of massive impact. It just like, then you saw her everywhere. You saw her everywhere. And she gave credit to CFM. She was like, I do not leave my home in the morning. I have a new thing. She's like, I'm out here living my best life. She talked about she's dating, like all of this stuff she's doing. She was like, I'm out here living my best life right now because I don't leave my home without instruction from the word. And I never lived like that before this. Like, I knew the Lord, I was in church, all of those things, but I never lived my life in a way like, Lord, what would you have me to do today? She was like, I need instruction from him about my day, about my work before I leave. She's like, and when he gives me instruction, I go out and I do it because I know that I've been called to be a woman of massive impact. That's where I stole that from. And I told her I was going to steal it. I was like, oh, that's who I want. That you right. That's who I want to work with. Girl, you so help me. I want a woman. I want a woman who wants to be a woman of massive impact. This regular impact, that's probably really not, I'm probably not really the coach for you. I'm probably not really the person for you. But she said massive impact, boom, done. I have a lady who has been working and researching for years about a hotel, who now has a property that she's looking to purchase, who is now sitting down talking to actual investors, who has an actual business plan, who has a realtor, who has gone to look at properties. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, oh, we could get it done over here, but it requires, it's not like a one thing, right? Like I could tell you like, oh, it's just one thing. That's not really true. It's not just one thing. But it requires a bunch of stuff for you to set God-sized goals and for you to stay consistent. I would love for you to listen, it's open. I would love for you to enroll in Courageous Faith. I want to say we have you on the faith. But we have you on the faith because how can we not be like, if I have God-sized goals, I need the Lord to be with me every single day because what I'm talking about doing is absolutely insane without him. It makes no sense without God. I mean, I don't even know how I would begin to do it. I wouldn't have even looked for her. I would have talked to the first lady. The first lady would have told me blase squaze, and she did. And I felt a way that day. I was like, well, maybe it's too much. I got up the next morning, did my Boulder morning routine. I was like, bump her, bro. Let's go. Let me go ahead and post this in the group. I posted it in the group the same day. The lady dropped her name. Boom, boom, boom. I was on her calendar. Boom. Hired her same day, all in a day. Right. And it's because I live like this is my lifestyle. It's not because I don't get discouraged. I definitely do. It's not because I don't fantasize about quitting sometimes. It's just a fantasy because that crap is not happening. I am not quitting, child. But I feel that way, right? But it's my routine. It's my lifestyle. It's the way I live. It truly is like the way I live. I live in a way where, it's not a thing where I'm quitting. It's just not. It's not a thing. It's because my lifestyle. Pay off debt and start a blog or podcast. First of all, you need to join. If this is still Andrea Johnson, you need to join. Somebody please tell her when you come into the community and you are like, oh, I want to do this. You can't say you're going to do something in this group. Like, you literally cannot say you're going to do something and not do it. You can't say you're going to do something and then be changing your mind 100 times. Like, we're not having it. And you got to drop your execution rate. You got to drop it. And if you under 85, you got some explaining to do. We want to understand, what obstacles did you face that you were unable to overcome, so that we can help you get a solution, so that we can help you find a workaround. We also are heavy on that when we set the goal. When I set the goal, the first thing I want to know after you set the goal is, okay, what obstacles or challenges do you think of right now that might keep you from following through? Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. Okay, so what are the solutions? What solutions can we put in place right now before we even start this goal for the obstacles you think might happen? Because there's going to be an obstacle you don't even know about, right? So come on, join us. We're an amazing community. There, like, I can tell you honestly that, and I'm just telling you, right? I'm just being honest. There is not one member in Courageous Faith membership who shows up. Now, it's a lot of people who don't show up, and we already know what that is. You ain't showing up. I mean, I thank you for your donation, right? Like, we already know what that is. But there are a lot of people who have enrolled in Courageous Faith membership, who show up. The women who show up, and I don't necessarily mean they're coming to every meeting. I mean, they're showing up to apply the strategies and the principles and the way that I teach. The women who are doing that, I had a girl who was like, I haven't been to the meetings because I've been doing the work, and I just got offered a job in aviation, which is what I was working on, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about, Can I drop the link? I can. Let me make sure I know what the link is. Y'all know how the Lord be. Gonna take me here. Oh, it definitely does. Look at me. I'm so, boy, I tell you what. This is really good. Good job, Courage. I'm gonna put it up on I'm gonna drop it here, and I'll put it on the board to Courageous Faith membership. There aren't women who are showing up who aren't getting results. There are none. And I can tell you that honestly. I would love to see a woman. I would love to see that. There is not a woman who is showing up and is not, like, no, that's not a thing. It's just not a thing. Courageous Faith membership. Yeah, it's not a thing. There's no woman who is enrolled in Courageous Faith membership and who is showing up that's not getting results. Now, there are a lot of people who are enrolled who ain't showing up, but there ain't a one of them that's showing up that's not getting results. From like, oh, I wanted to start something, to things being started and gone and complete. People have goals like, oh, I want to create 300 pieces of content. And then they're like, oh, well, my execution wasn't that great. She said, well, my execution this week was 70%. I'm like, okay, how many pieces of content did you create? She was like, I only created like 200 pieces. It's like, I mean, it's not hitting your goal, but if we're talking about the grand scheme of things, you only hit 200. I'm like, baby, people were like, 200 pieces of content. How did you do that? Like, what are we doing out here in these streets? Like, listen, and I'm telling you right now, Courageous Faith membership, this is a good time to sign up. And the reason it's a good time to sign up, because we only have a couple weeks left in this quarter. And that means that our quarterly planning session is coming up. It means that our quarterly planning session is coming up. It's going to be that first Sunday, which I know that's 4th of July weekend. That don't matter to me. I'll see if it matters to y'all. But we might have to do that. What's today? Bruh, we might have to do that Sunday. Yeah. Friends, I think we might have to do it Sunday. So then we have a week. Yeah. So I'm telling you right now, we're gonna do the quarterly thing June 26th. And maybe I'll have another one like during the middle of the week, which I normally don't do, but it's a holiday, so I feel a type of way about that. Um, yeah, so we're gonna do this is a great time to join because we're getting ready to do our quarterly planning sessions, and those quarterly planning sessions are long. The reason they're long though is because we're actually planning for 12 weeks. And it does take that. Jennifer Bell, what's up? It does take that planning. I mean, it does take that time to plan out 12 weeks down to the what are my weekly tasks going to be every week for the next 12 weeks. It is time consuming, especially if you need feedback or if you need strategy or something like that. Those are long sessions, but they're only as long as they need to be because we're actually doing the planning. And then after that, the sessions are just an hour long. We're kind of getting in and dropping our execution rate and saying what our execution rate was for the month. It's a sobering thing because you get to see like really, am am I actually doing this thing? Um, I love this one. Is there anything too hard for my God? And that's really where you got to start, right? That's why let me just say this. It's not a program from the church. Let me just say that. Courageous Faith Membership is a program that is offered through Courage Molina University. But everything I do is faith-based. And it's just I don't know how else to do it outside of like faith. My time in the word and my relationship with God is the only way I can guarantee that exactly what God has placed in my heart to do is going to happen. It does not happen without him. And I don't make goals without him. So I also am not set. That's another guarantee. Like that's another thing too. I'm also not setting goals without him. And I'm not saying that he's telling me every goal. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think about this? He typically is not checking my goal. He's typically checking my motive. And sometimes my motive ain't right. And so that's an issue that we have to deal with, he and I. But for the most part, he's not telling me I can't have a goal. I've not really experienced that with him. But it's because I'm being led by him. And so when you realize that you're being led by him, and it's like I'm a woman. I don't think that anything is impossible for God. I don't think that. I think that anything is possible with God. I actually believe that. So while I look at my goals and I'm like, every time I look at my goals and I'm like, that right there, that is impossible. Or I look at my goals and I think, well, I done had that goal before and I still ain't hit it. So am I gonna hit it this time? You know what I'm saying? Like I do look at it and think that, but because my foundation is in the word and because the foundation of Courageous Faith membership is in building a daily habit of studying the word of God. Because I have that foundation, because I have that relationship, and God is an active part of my strategy team, he is an active part of my executive team. We have staff meetings, and it is me and my kingdom executive officers, okay? The Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. I need everybody on this one. So I need the whole meeting. If you guys could please come in, sit wherever you like. Let's talk about what this plan is. Let's talk about what I'm struggling with. And I have like an actual staff meeting conversation like I would if there were physical people in here, because I believe that God hears me, that he is with me, that he's the one who set my heart to these things. So who better to get insight from, who better to get encouragement from than the one who's supporting me financially, than the one who is making connections on my behalf, the one who is advocating for me and protecting me, like the one that's coming up with all the great ideas. Why wouldn't I have them in here? But that only happens when I have a relationship with God that's individual, that's like an intimate individual relationship. And for me, that is built through the word of God. So CFM starts from a place of faith. So when I get there, is there anything too hard for God? So I believe that God said, let there be light, and light existed. I believe that God, raised a man from the dead. I actually believe that. So when I look at my goals, my goals are not like, I don't have bring people from the dead up there. So I feel like, I mean, you did that. Certainly you can do this. Certainly we can, you did, you know what I'm saying? Like he did that over there. Certainly he can do this over here. Right? Like certainly he can do that. And so just wanting to oh, you don't see the link? There is a link scrolling at the bottom, bit.ly Courageous Faith members. I also dropped it in the chat, but it says can't post comments to some destinations because I'm streaming to multiple places. But it's on the screen right now. You can go to bit.ly/Courageous Faith membership. There's no .com, there's no www, and it is all lowercase. Let me see. Let me edit this. Let me hide this. It's not a scroll ticker. Just want to make it a regular ticker. And then I want to show it. Okay, here we go. bit.ly Courageous Faith membership. It requires a 90-day commitment because we do things by 12 weeks, right? So it requires a 90-day commitment. I want you to, it doesn't matter when you enroll, even if you enroll and we've already started, in 90 days, you still will experience all the things that we do every 90 days, right? Even if you experience it out of order. There are trainings in there. A meeting can quickly turn to a strategic, thing. You want to start a podcast. I can't imagine that you would enroll and you would get to week 12 and not have a podcast. Like the podcast is actually out and available and we're listening to it. I can't even imagine that. I just cannot imagine it. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a thing for Courageous Faith membership. There's not a woman who shows up for Courageous Faith membership that doesn't see progress, real, actual progress towards their goals. There is not a woman who shows up in Courageous Faith membership that hasn't accomplished something in the first 30 days that they have been hemming and hawing about for the last 3 months. It's just not a thing. No matter how crazy. And everybody's got craziness. Everybody's crazy. Let me tell you that right now. Okay? Everybody has a crazy and insane God-sized goal. It's absolutely insanity. Everybody does. That's showing up. And so it's the perfect place for women of faith and purpose who have the desire to have massive impact and who want to be wildly successful, who believe that they can change the industry, right? They believe they can change how things are done. Bump having a seat at the table. They don't want to, like, I keep saying I don't want to be a thought leader. I want to be an industry leader, right? Like that's who we working with in here. And so it's absolutely amazing. It's just an amazing community. It's an amazing, I don't like to call it a program. It's a membership because I feel like programs, they have all these modules and there are modules in Courageous Faith membership, but you don't have to watch those modules except for the goal setting. Now, please watch the goal setting. You think you know how to set a goal, you don't. Please watch the goal setting. Just entertain me, okay? Entertain me, watch the goal setting. All right? That's the only thing that I really need you to watch is the goal setting one. Like, please, please, please watch that so that you can know how we working over here. Because when you start setting goals the way I teach them, then it's easy for you to devise a plan and start making progress towards them. So if you are an entrepreneur of faith, and I don't mean that your business model teaches Bible, I mean that you yourself are a believer in Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah, right? And you want to not only set, but to achieve God-sized goals. You want to be a woman of massive impact and you want to be wildly successful. You're not talking about having one restaurant. You want to have a franchise of restaurants. You're not talking about running a hotel. You want to own your own hotel, like you are not talking about, you know, having your run of the mill book club. You want to have a book club that, actually helps people to get traditional publishing deals. Like you want to be the go-to person. If there is a person of faith and of color who wants to get a traditional publishing deal, you want them saying your name in the room, like, oh, that's what you want to do, then you definitely need to connect to Laverta. Oh, you want to bring hospitality to the next level in all of your, oh, then you definitely need to talk to Maritza. Oh, this is what you're struggling with. You want that to be a conversation, even if they don't pick you. We are not talking about smartphones and not talking about Apple, even if you don't buy Apple. Even if you don't like Apple, you know their name. Even if you don't want an iPhone, you know what an iPhone is, don't you? And it's it's a part of the conversation. That's an industry leader, whether you purchase an iPhone or not. iPhones are industry leaders in smartphones, and that's on period. Because you're not having a conversation about a smartphone and it's an iPhone and not being referenced or mentioned, right? If that's where you think about the industry that you've been called to, and that's the type of impact you want to have because you understand how that's going to help people, then let's go. Enroll today, friends. Okay. So that you can find out when we're going to do our quarterly planning session, which I think it's going to have to be Sunday. I'll do two. I'll have to do two. I'll do one on Sunday and one on another day of the week, since I'm just now realizing, thinking about 4th of July. I normally don't care about the holiday. I'd be like, I don't care. That's when we're doing it. But my focus is greater impact. So I want to make sure that more women can come. So y'all come to this 12-week planning session. I think I opened it up to everybody last time. Maybe I will this time too. I don't know if I did or not, but maybe I will. We'll see. I need to check and see if we do that. So, all right. I hope this has blessed y'all. Sign up. Courageous Faith membership. I want y'all to have the freedom of having these God-sized goals and not adjusting them because of what people, who know better than you are saying about it. Bumped on people. Okay. Love y'all. Hope to see y'all on the inside. Later.